Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another pen video, and this is a Maker's Gotta Make or custom pen makers video, and this is video number 2. So I think with this, let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail, and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, we have an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is from Eric, Atelier Lusso in California, and this is called the Gravity. We have another Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Amethyst Fields material. We have a black Robin Pens Iego in the Stardust. We have a John Twiss Volcano. We have a Twiss Pens, and this is the Vanagand in a red and black ebonite. We have another Twiss Pens Aphrodite in the red, grey and white Divine Island. We have another Twiss Pens, and this is a Gaia in the Jonathan Brooks Bohemian Twilight material. We have a Twiss Pens Beetleless, a Twiss Pens Blue Diamond Cast Zeus, and finally another Twiss Pens, and this is the Gaia in green and white. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail so that you can see these here. So this is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is one of my earlier Atelier Lusso, so it doesn't have a cap finial on. On some of these, Eric has put an L for Lusso and has more recently switched to a dragon motif. But this is a really lovely resin swirl in blue and white. I honestly think this is a very, very well made pen. I love this pattern here. It reminds me of ink swashing around in a glass, a water glass, effectively. When you're cleaning out a pen, you see all of this material here. Now Eric actually makes these to a very high quality. He puts a number 6 size Jowo steel nib on, and these do come with a cartridge converter. Eric doesn't make any pens with pistons or power vac fillers, so you do have to really stick with cartridge converters. And honestly, most, I would say, of the custom pen makers pretty much stick with cartridge converters. You can find some that will do pistons, but most of them, I'd say probably 90% that I've seen so far, do have cartridge converters. Now, you can post a cap on this as well, so the Atelier Lusso Carina models are actually quite nice. There's a little bit of a step here to stop your fingers moving onto that nib and feed, and I have to say that this is a very, very good quality pen. Now this particular one, as it's an earlier model, does have a lot of threads on it. Eric has since changed that, so there aren't so many turns to do to cap and uncap the pen. The next pen here is again another Atelier Lusso pen from Eric, and here you can see the L for Lusso. So this is in the Amethyst Fields material, and this was a pen that I had commissioned from Eric. So this is a lovely green and white swirl pen. I wanted a green pen, and I wanted a pen that would look quite nice, and you can just see the white, the chatoyance there in that whiteness, in that pearl. It's really, really lovely. Now it's very similar to the original Carina there from Eric. The clip is different though. So Eric actually makes a lot of variation of clips, and this is a beautiful clip. Now, if I unscrew the cap, you'll see again a number 6 size Jowo. It's a broad steel nib. Again, another step down here on the section to stop your fingers moving onto the nib and feed, and also it's a cartridge converter as well. You can post the cap, and that posts quite securely, and I do find that this is a really nice pen to write with. So this is some of the quality that Eric puts into a pen. Now I have to say some of his newer pens are even better quality, and I didn't think uh, I could see that in Eric's pens, but honestly, from what I have seen on his newer pens, which I don't have any, the quality is has almost doubled, and I honestly thought that Eric had reached the pinnacle of quality in his pens. Now, the next pen here is from a maker called Meg, and Meg Blackburn. She's in the UK, and she's Maker Meg on Instagram, or Black Robin Pens, as you will actually see her as. She makes a number of pens and different models as well. Most of the custom pen makers have various types of models, and this is the Iago, and this is in the Stardust or Silver Dust. It's a beautiful pen. Now I know glitter isn't for everyone, but when I saw this pen, I just had to message Meg and say, look, I would like one of these in my collection, because it just, I don't know, it just speaks to me. So this is not a seamless cap here, just like the Carinas. They're not seamless either. It has a number 6 size Yovo, and that's again a broad nib I've got on there. It's a cartridge converter. You can't post the cap on the Iago. I believe you can on some of Meg's other pens, but I don't have any of those at the moment, so I cannot confirm or deny that. But I believe, certainly looking at some of the models, you can post the caps. It's a great pen. Size-wise, it's actually not bad in my hand, even though I can't post a cap. The section here is a little bit on the thinner side, but it's very, very comfortable. And Meg does make some oversized pens, as well as some very small pocket-like pens. So that's a pen from Meg at Black Robin Pens in the UK. Now, another UK pen maker that's been around for a long, long time is John Twiss at Twiss Pens. And he's in Nottingham Forest area in the UK. John actually not only goes to all of the UK pen shows, but now with Vince at the Turner's Workshop and Michael Owen from Manuscript Pens has actually taken over in, I think it was in 2019, the UK pen show circuit. So John is actually also part owner of the UK pen shows. So for me, this is a really, really nice pen, and I have to say that this is a pen I picked up a couple of years ago at the Northern Pen Show. It's an Alumilite pen, and you can just see there it's a beautiful volcano-like pen with all these reds and oranges, and also the grey as well, from effectively like molten lava. So this is really nice. John has put a clip on here as well, which is functional as well. And if I unscrew this, you'll see a number 6 size broad Yovo steel nib. But John actually, in a lot of cases, will put a T logo on there for Twiss Pens, so in a diamond. Now, this is a cartridge converter pen, and it will post, but it doesn't post deeply, but it will post securely. So this is a very nice pen from John. And this is a pen that I had added to my collection as well, so I do own this pen. But this is a beautiful, beautiful pen. And John does some really great work. I've looked at a lot of John's work at pen shows in the UK over the years, and I have to say that there have been probably a good half a dozen pens I've been very close to buying from him. And some of the ribbon swirl patterns are, I think he calls them the water patterns, are very, very nice pens. And I have a few friends that have bought a lot of pens from him as well. Now, the next pen here is a Den's Pens. Den's is in the UK. He's just outside of London, I would say. He is a newer custom pen maker, a little bit like Meg Blackburn at Black Robin Pens. But he has been making pens now for, I think, a couple of years. And this is the Vanagand model. And Den actually makes all of his pens after, or names them after, Greek mythology. and this is a really lovely pen. It's an ebonite. It's a red and black ebonite pen, and it reminds me very much of the red ripples that you would see on the old vintage Watermans. Now, Den has actually put a cap band here, or a body band. It's not actually on the cap, which is interesting and actually breaks up between the cap and the body. But it is a seamless, almost, join here on between the cap and the body. If I unscrew, you'll see here it comes with a black ebonite section, which is quite narrow, but it flutes out towards the end to stop your fingers touching the nib and feed. Now, Den actually normally puts Bock nibs on his pens. So this is a Bock nib, and I believe, because Bock do not actually list the nib designation or nib width, I believe this is a fine nib. It's a cartridge converter. I can post a cap. It doesn't post deeply and not that securely, but it won't, if I shake it, it won't come off. But it's not, I'd say it's not really designed to post the Vanagand models, but it is quite nice though. So I have that one here on the comparison today. I also have this one, and this is from Den, again at Den's Pens. This is the Aphrodite. This is a red, grey and white divine island, and it's quite an interesting pattern here. So this really is quite nice. Now, the Aphrodites are typically a much longer pen that you can see here. Now, if I unscrew the cap, you'll see again it has a number 6 size Bock nib, and this is a medium steel nib with a plastic feed, ABS plastic. It's a cartridge converter, but you can see here in the size of my hand, this is a long pen for sure. And I can post a cap. It won't post deeply, but it does post securely. And so that is quite a lengthy pen. So if you like longer pens, slightly wider diameter sections there, then that may actually appeal to you a little bit more. It is a cartridge converter. The clip is also quite functional there as well. It's a pen that I am liking in terms of size, and it's right bordering on will it fit in my pen tray. The next pen, and I have to say I really do like this pen. Again, another pen from Den at Den's Pens, and this is a Gaia model, and this is in the Jonathan Brooks Bohemian Twilight. Now, Den has also added a little custom roll stop to this pen, and I think that matches this pen really, really well. And you can just see that sparkle there on camera. But this material is absolutely beautiful, and it's very similar to a material that I have in an Atelier Lusso Andromeda in the King Cobra. And very similar material in terms of the colours, the bronziness, the gold, and a little bit. My one has silver. I guess this has a little bit more bluish silver going on there. But this is a beautiful material. Now, again, this is a long pen. It just fits in my pen tray. Now, the Gaias typically tend to be a little bit more on the narrower side, so this does flute out a little bit here. But this is a lovely pen. Now, in terms of can I post the cap, I can. It posts deeply as well, and very, very securely. So this in itself is a really nice pen, but as you can see here, it's a number 6 size box steel nib, again with an ABS plastic feed, cartridge converter from Den. And the material though is beautiful, but the workmanship on the pen, the polishing of that pen, you can just see my studio lights on that. That is really, really nice. So that's in this comparison video today as well. Now, a pen that looks a little bit strange is this one, and this is, I think if I get it round the right way, this is a beaterless, and this comes with a number 6 size Bock nib, and that is a medium nib. And but this is, if I screw the cap back on, you'll see here you get a seamless join almost on that cap to the body. But this is a very interesting shape pen. So Den pushes the boundaries on shapes and doesn't do a lot of conventional shape pens. So he likes to push the boundary and actually produce something a little bit more artistic in terms of the shape and size. So this is, as you can see, it is faceted, but not in the regular sense. So it does have facets, but it's a very, very interesting design of a pen. Now, I completely honestly agree that this may not be for everyone. A lot of people will like cigar shaped or flat-ended pens. Some will like faceted in the regular sort of 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 facets. But this is quite an interesting pen. So I know this isn't for everyone. Now, if I unscrew the cap, you'll see here on the Betalus that it has a rounded section. So it is actually very, very comfortable to hold. Now, these facets here are not sharp. They're quite smooth. So it doesn't actually, I don't feel this in my hand. I do feel a little bit the edges around here because just because of the shape of the pen. Not because they're sharp, but it's just because of the shape. Now, clearly, you're not going to be able to post this cap. But I don't think you need to, honestly, because in the size of my hand, this is a really, really good shape. Now, this does have a lot of threads on this pen. That is maybe the only thing that some people may not like. But I have to say that this actually lines up quite nicely there. So you can see the join. It's a very interesting pen from Den, I have to say. And I am intrigued when I see some of these very obscure designs that Den has come up with. Another one of these from Den as well that is a little bit obscure, not as much as the Betalus, is this one. And this is a Den's Pens, and it is the blue diamond cast Zeus. And so the material is made by Mackenzie Penworks, who make the diamond cast material. Diamond cast, if you don't know, is a material that is infused with real diamond dust, hence the name diamond cast. And you should be able to see some of that sparkle here in that body. Now, it's quite subtle, but you will see it there. So this is a really, really nice pen. Now, I say it's a little bit unconventional terms in terms of design because it's a cylindrical pen with almost a seamless join on the cap. But you have these, I want to say 45-degree angle slants at either end of the pen. And that makes it quite unique compared to a lot of other pens. It comes with a number 6 size Bock steel nib, and that is a fine nib. Again, the section, it's a fairly long section. You've got to flute out towards the nib and feed to stop your fingers getting down there. It is a long pen. You obviously cannot post the cap, unfortunately, but it's not been designed to do so. So if you do like posting caps, and maybe this pen isn't for you, but it is an interesting design, and I even like that there is a lightning strike on there for Zeus. And I need to actually ask Den whether or not he did this on purpose or if it was just luck that it was in that material. I think this is something that he started to do now. So that's an interesting one as well. But this material is absolutely gorgeous, and I do like it. And I have reviewed another Zeus before, and I liked that design. But that did have a clip on it, and I honestly think, I think I may have mentioned on that review that I'd prefer if it didn't have a clip, or I know that that's how I felt, and I think I did mention that to Den as well. And so this one doesn't have a clip, and I think honestly it looks a lot better without a clip on it. So, but as you can see, in my pen tray, that is a little bit too long. So um, it will not fit in my pen tray. Now, the last pen on this maker's comparison is this one. And this, again, is a Twiss Pens. It's a much larger, gayer pen. And this is a beautiful material in this green and white. And you can just see that there. Now, again, the gayers typically do almost have a seamless join. Not quite seamless, but almost. The cap is actually quite short compared to the body there that you can see. But this material is absolutely stunning. And I have to say, I really do like this material. And I like the polishing as well on this pen. You can see with my studio lights there that this pen is highly polished. If I unscrew the cap, you'll see here it's a number 6 size Bock steel nib, and that is a medium nib with an ABS plastic feed. It's a cartridge converter, but this is a large pen. This reminds me very much of the London pen company Christopher 15s. It is quite a wide body here. The section in itself is long and wide as well, and then you still got that fluting here to stop your nib, your finger getting onto the nib and feed. It is a cartridge converter pen as well. You can't post the cap on this one particularly, but it is a nice pen. So again, I have to say I'm very intrigued in what Den is making nowadays, because he's making quite a lot of different pens. But as you can see here, that just won't quite fit in my pen tray, unfortunately. So it is a little bit long. So you might have to consider that. I know in the past I've bought a couple of long pens and hadn't realised how long they really were. And then they either wouldn't fit in my pen tray or wouldn't fit in a pen case. And then I had to either buy a different pen tray or a different pen case. So that's something you might have to bear in mind when buying some longer pens, more specifically from Den, because Den does like to make long pens. So that's my 10 pens here from the Maker's Edition, video number 2. I think now we'll go do a writing sample so you can see how these write. So the first pen here is the Atelier Lusso Carina in the Gravity. So we'll do an ink swatch, and you'll see here that this is quite a nice writing pen. So this is an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Gravity, and it is a broad, and it's a still Yovo nib, and the ink in here today is Diamine, and it is Azure Blue, which is a lovely blue ink. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Amethyst Fields. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is again another broad nib that Eric has put on this pen for me. So this is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and it's in the Amethyst Fields. Now, as I mentioned, it's a broad and it's a steel Yovo nib. Now, the ink in here today is Diamine, and it's Sherwood Green, which is a nice match, I think, for that green colour. The next pen is the Black Robin Pens Iago. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this I have got inked up with a purple ink, only because I wanted an ink that flowed well with this broad nib, and I have got a shimmer ink in here, although it's not shimmering that much at the moment. But this is a Black Robin Pens, and it's Iago. Now, it is a broad steel nib. It's a Yovo nib again. And the ink in here is Diamine. And it's a shimmer tastic. And it is purple pizzazz. The next pen is the John Twiss Volcano. So this will do an ink swatch here, and I've got a lovely bright punchy red ink in this pen today. So you can see again, this writes very wet, very lovely. So this is, it's actually a Twiss Pens from John Twiss, and it is the Volcano. Now, I don't actually know what the name of this material is, but I've aptly named it Volcano. It has a broad, and it's, I say broad, yes it is, yeah, broad steel Yovo nib. So again, another Yovo nib. So the first 4 pens have Yovo nibs on them. Now this ink in here today is Diamine, and it is poppy red, which is a beautiful, bright, punchy red ink. The next pen is a Twiss Pens, and this is the Vanagand in red and black ebonite. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is a Bock nib, so it is quite wet, but this is a fine nib, not like the previous John Twiss nib, which was a broad nib. So this is a Twiss Pens, and it is the Vanagand. And it's a red and black ebonite, and it's a fine, and it is a steel Bock nib. So this is the first Bock nib out of all of these. Now the ink in here again is Diamine Poppy Red. So you can see the difference between essentially what looks to be 2 differently coloured inks, but it's all down to the wetness and the nib width of those pens. So the next pen here is another Twiss Pens, and this is the Aphrodite in the red, grey and white Divine Island. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and you'll see here that this is a dark red ink, and I inked this up for the review initially. So this is a Twiss Pens, and it's the Aphrodite. Now this comes with a medium, and it's a Bock steel nib. So this is a second Bock nib in this Maker's Pen comparison. And the ink in here is Diamine Merlot, which is a really lovely dark red ink. So the next pen is another Twiss Pens, and this is the Gaia in Jonathan Brooks Bohemian Twilight. So let's do an ink swatch. Now I've inked this up with a brown ink because I think that complements the copper a lot. I probably could have inked this up with Diamine Ancient Copper, but I decided I would go with a brown ink instead. So this is the Twiss Pens, and it's the Gaia. And this is a medium, just double checking, and this is a Bock steel nib. Now the ink in here today is Diamine Ochre, which is a beautiful brown ink from Diamine. Depending on the pen and nib that you put it in, it can look either very dark or very light brown. The next pen is another pen from Twiss Pens, and this is the Beetless. So let's do an ink swatch. Now this is a very wet writing nib. This is a medium nib, strangely enough. I do think it feels a little bit more on the broader side. So this is a Twiss Pens, and it is the Beatless. Now, Den says it is a medium nib. I think it might be a broad. There aren't any nib designations on box steel nibs, so it's difficult to tell. But this definitely writes, I'd say, a little bit more broader towards a broad for me. Now, it is a Bock steel nib, and the ink in here is Diamine, Apple, Glory, which is a beautiful green ink. And honestly, I think that that colour there matches quite nicely. The next pen is the Twiss Pens, and this is the Blue Zeus in Diamond Cast. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this is quite a fine nib that you can see here. It's not an overly wet nib, but it's not an overly dry nib either. It's probably about right for writing in a notebook. So this is the Twiss Pens, and it's the blue diamond cast Zeus, and it is a fine, and it's a Bock steel nib again. And the ink in here is Diamine, Majestic Blue, which is a beautiful blue ink. And then the last pen here on this Makers Comparison number 2 video is a Twiss Pens, and this is a Gaia again, and this is in the green and white. So we'll do another ink swatch here. And this is a medium Bock nib. So this is a Twiss Pens, and it's the Gaia, and it is a medium Bock steel nib. And the ink in here today is also Diamine, Apple Glory, which you'll see again a slight difference in the colour depending on how broad or wet the nib writes and how fine the nib writes as well. So I think let's take a look at these pens and ink combinations one more time. So we have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Gravity in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Azure Blue. We have an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Amethyst Fields in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Sherwood Green. We have a black Robin Pens Iego in a broad steel nib, and you can probably see that shimmer there, that gold shimmer in that purple. And it's inked up with Diamine Shimmertastic Purple Pizzazz. We have a Twiss Pens Volcano in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. We have a Twiss Pens Vanagand in a fine steel nib inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. We have a Twiss Pens Aphrodite in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Merlot. We have a Twiss Pens Gaia in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. We have a Twiss Pens Beatless in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Apple Glory. We have a Twiss Pens in the blue diamond cast Zeus with a fine steel nib inked up with Diamine Majestic Blue. We have a Twiss Pens Gaia in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Apple Glory. So there you have it. That's my Makers Comparison video number 2. If you'd like to see more of these videos, then do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.